Good morning, dear participants. A big thanks to the organizer of the conference. They are giving us the chance to disseminate our EU-funded project with the name ProHeritage. It is related to terminology and training for traditional crafts used in cultural heritage. I am Gerald Wagenhofer and I am managing that project. And I will talk you through our project. First of all, I give you some details about the ProHeritage project. I will explain you a little bit the objectives we had put down in the application. I will explain a little bit the background, why we did that project and how we developed them. And I will show you the approach, how we develop this training during the project. We submitted ProHeritage in the Horizon 2020 call, Construction Skills. We started the project in February 2019. Our planned duration is 36 months. We are 9 partners, which I will show you in detail in a minute, and we are located in 5 partner countries. The coordinator is the Burghauptmannschaft Österreich. This organization is responsible for the most well-known cultural heritage site in Austria, like the Imperial Palace in Vienna, the Imperial Palace in Innsbruck, and some other castles and palaces in Vienna and the rest of Austria. If you look at all the partners together, we are responsible for about 500 historic, mostly listed objects, from the small fountain up to the Imperial Palace in Vienna. The partners had a focus on cultural heritage. That means that we are not coming from the construction industry, so we will definitely integrate in the trainings we develop that what we learned in our daily business, which is working and what is not working. Most of the partners had on their payroll a estate and maintenance manager, which are responsible for that task. And of course, there are reasons for EU projects. For us, it's mainly to gain experience from other partners in Europe, to learn from that what they have done, what's working on their side, so that we're sharing best practice examples. And of course, we will also be prepared for specific tasks and challenges in the future. And the energy efficiency is definitely one of these challenges. Here see our partners. The applicant, as I mentioned, is the Burghauptmannschaft Österreich. We had 4 organizations who are responsible or running historic buildings. So this is the English Heritage Trust in England, in UK, the Cultural Trust in UK, the Národní Trust, which is a national trust in Slovakia, and the Presidency of the Republic of Portugal. Then the UBW, that's my company. We are being part of the consortium, mainly because of our experience in trainings conduction and trainings development. Then we have an organization for cultural heritage managers, which is located in Spain, and the European Certification and Qualification Association, which is our organization who issues the certificates for us. They are independent of the training and exam organization, as is mentioned in this international standards for trainings and certifications. And finally, the ESCN, which is the technical partner for the e-learning platform. What are our objectives? So of course, the main thing is we are all related to cultural heritage site, and we are interested to keep that in shape and available for future generation, not only as it was in the past, but also for the future generation requirements. What we are doing in the project is we develop a training for energy experts for cultural heritage. So we protect traditional competences and skills for exactly that area. And we also try to give them the craftsperson also the knowledge to market their knowledge and convince site owners that it's the right way to do the refurbishment. We will issue certificates, and we will keep that updated as well. And certifications does not only mean exam, it also means validation. how the Burghauptmannschaft Österreich is doing projects anyway. So we started with a project which was called, had the name, it's an Erasmus Plus project, Modify, where we developed a maintenance manager for cultural heritage. At the beginning, we identified that the coordinator has a problem with the knowledge transfer. The new employees could only do a job shadowing in other departments, which is of course limited because the other departments are of course had to do other tasks and not only job shadowing. There was no regular training available for maintenance manager, and there was no certification or validation of these competences. And we know from former conferences we organized that heritage assets need traditional crafts, otherwise we cannot keep these buildings in shape. And there was a different development and status throughout Europe, which means we had different approaches to refurbish cultural heritage site, but also we had a different status of skills. Some skills in some countries are at risk, in others they are not at risk. And there, of course, are specific cultural differences between regions and countries. We have to respect the different standards which are available for refurbishment and conservation in that area throughout Europe. And we also have to recognize that there are different architectural styles and regional building materials. The next step was the establishment of the European Heritage Academy. This organization now runs the maintenance management courses and will definitely also run the future energy expert for cultural heritage, which we develop in ProHeritage. When we did the trainings for the maintenance management, it was very soon clear that the craftsperson, they also participated on these courses, are very interested and also had detailed requests, and we see that there is a need for such a training. Which we was supported by an OMC report of the EU stakeholder group, which stated also that there is a need for protecting traditional crafts. And also we realized that we are already losing traditional skills in Europe. So we are already in the situation that maybe we don't be able to keep some traditional skills alive because they already died out. And we see also that there is a lack of networking and the need for joint forces to protect these traditional crafts. So how we go on with the development of the training in the project. So we had two streams. The one was the analytical one and the other one was based on the trainings expertise of the consortium. The first, the analytic one, was an alignment need to define the appropriate energy efficiency measures, to identify the relevant traits, and to identify the relevant working procedures. On the other hand, we had the training experience, which we started with an analysis of training providers. We developed a curriculum based on that, and we had also defined the learning outcomes. The trainings material is the next step, and then the exam questions have to be developed. So what was the need for the alignment? All partners in the consortium was talking about energy efficient measures, but what is really appropriate for an historic building? First of all, we had to, and it was an easy task to align on the point that the differences between modern and historic buildings are clear and it needs a different treatment. If you look at the walls, you see the differences, and you also see, if you look at that in a more closer way, also the person who is the occupant has a different wearing different clothes. So there are a lot of differences we have to respect. So there are also some developments which are have to be taken into account. But we also saw that we had traditional buildings, they are listed. We also have traditional buildings, they are not listed. And we have, of course, modern buildings, they are mainly not listed. But maybe in the future they will also be listed. But the point is that the traditional buildings, they are not listed, are not treated like a traditional building. They are treated like a modern building. So if you look at that field of traditional buildings, you can imagine that a refurbishment done with the wrong approach will endanger the building itself. So we are talking about relevant trades. So if we look at traditional buildings, we had walls, uh, like bricklayers, stonemasons, and masons we need. We had roofs with several um, professions we are needed. We have roof construction, we have windows, doors, and of course we have general functions, which are like facility manager, maintenance manager, and estate and site manager. And they are important. They had to understand what is the right procedure, the right working method to make sure that they keep their buildings in shape. And they have to understand what is appropriate for the building and what is not appropriate. On that slide, you see the selected trades. We see that we are convinced that they have an influence on the energy efficiency of a building. And for this, we will develop the training, and even we will develop specialization for these trades as well. On the other hand, and this was the point, the steps we already have done. On the other hand, we started with the analysis of the trainings providers. So we was looking at potential, not only potential organizations, they are already running trainings on that topic. We're also looking for potential partners for the future, which can also run the energy expert training we develop in ProHeritage. So we was looking at Charterhaus Mauerbach in Austria, which belongs to the Austrian Monument Protection Office. We was visiting a company in Slovakia, which is offering trainings for other companies as well. We was looking at the similar organization for the Bavarian Monument Protection Office in Tierhaupten. We had an organization in Edinburgh, the Engine Chat, which is very similar to the Charterhouse. We had also some other buildings visited in UK to learn. And there was also a visit in a Croatian school for traditional crafts. Then Corona came and stopped us a little bit. We started then with online study visits, but we have to realize that to get the real understanding what the organizations are doing is not quite the same if you do it online. So we had two organizations in Spain and two organizations in Slovakia. They presented us what they are doing. But we will have definitely another visit when we are able to travel again. We developed a curriculum with several learning elements, which are based on conservation and understanding of traditional materials, but also sustainability principles. But we're also talking about mainly about maintenance actions in a generic way. We have a closer look on insulation, which is not the best option for a traditional building because you destroy the walls you have usually then covered with the insulation. We are talking about separate building elements. What we have to talk about renewables as well, because they are also part of the project. And then we have a specific part where the energy impact of the selected crafts will be described. We developed the learning outcomes what describe what the the participants should know and should be able to do after they had passed the training. The next step we had to do, we need to select the relevant working procedures. That's ongoing work. We're finalizing the trainings material. We're developing the exam questions. We will have the pilot trainings in 2022. The e-learning platform is already available and will be shown the documents, the trainings material after their realization. We will issue certificates for energy experts, of course, which have to follow some requirements. The expected results at the end, we have developed and tested trainings courses. We have developed certification validation process. We have identified potential trainings providers, and we have videos with the best procedures and also a sustainability concept for the trainings itself. Here you see some information about the project if you have further questions, and thank you for your attention.